Morning. To my extreme left, we have Mwenda Kilemi, who is a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, also in the communications department. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Next to him, we have Crispus Yankem, who is a media commentator and communication consultant. Karibu sana.
Thanks, Mike.
Running a little bit late, we are expecting Clay Muganda, who's going to be joining us as we continue, and also Patrick Gadara will also be joining us, and as soon as they join us, I will introduce them as we continue with the conversation. But gentlemen, Newsroom, and of course back on our headlines is none other than Anne Mumbi Waiguru, and this is in regards to the NYS Come, which the EACC initially had given a bill of clean health, saying that, you know, she's clear, but now she's back because of an affidavit. Now, let me start with you, Mwenda Kilemi, in terms, especially because you're in a communications department. What does this tell us when it comes to our writing? That, are we running behind the story? Should we have already questioned why she was cleared that fast? And secondly, why nobody or the EACC had not interrogated this new lady who's sworn the affidavit?
I think what we need to do is look at how we handle our investigative reporting. It seems there's a lot of information that's still out there, and that's leading to a lot of misconceptions. So moving forward, I'd say we need to have more research done, more reporting on the details. You ask people, exactly what happened in the NYS scandal, they'll tell you figures like 800 million, but they don't know the details. So we need to learn the details, know what exactly happened. That way we can say this is false, this is true. And things like the affidavit coming out are ways of finding out what's going to happen or finding out more information. But it's good to note that it could be false. Mm-hmm. That affidavit could be false. So it's through research by original research by journalists that we can figure out what's going on.
Okay. Yeah. Crispus, your take on the fact that possibly we're running after the story as opposed to having questioned this before?
Well, thanks, Mike. I think I want to begin by saying that I'm not surprised that the Waiguru story is back in the newsroom, and in a very dramatic way. Remember, during our last forum, we alluded to the fact that this is a soap opera with different episodes, and definitely with the various casts. So I wasn't surprised when I saw the headlines yesterday and on Monday, given the fact, based actually on the affidavit that has been sworn by one Kafura. But without imputing improper motive on the person of Anne Waiguru, mm-hmm. I think this is actually the epitome of impunity within our society. Because looking at it, we've seen political honchos, well-connected, trying to cover up certain deeds within society and trying to protect the high and mighty who plunder public resources. Like what Mwenda has said, we are not running behind the story, according to me, but we are basically trying to play catch-up on certain areas. Remember last week we said that we haven't had certain voices from EACC, and according to me, I think the new set of commissioners plus their chair, Philip Kinusu, might have entered office and gone to bed immediately, mm-hmm. because we actually questioned even the way that communication to clear Anne Waiguru was made. And you remember we were talking about a certain letter that was posted to particular offices before even the media actually got to know of it. Mm-hmm. So we would really want to know what Philip Kinusu is thinking. We would really want to know whether he was actually well briefed on this matter before it was done. And we would really want to know the reason as to why EACC decided to clear Anne Waiguru before even interrogating certain persons.
Is it necessary for us to hear from Philip Kinusu? Shouldn't we be more looking towards what are they doing? What is the process? Could it be that we have created a society and a culture where we have to have the head speak?
Precisely so, but the reason as to why it is important for us to listen to Philip Kinusu, this is a new team. He's entered office probably 2 months ago, mm-hmm. and we'd really want to know, because the first news conference that he had during his swearing in, I think he spoke of certain things and the way he was actually going to fight the war on corruption. And basically this is why I was saying last week that it is a cultural issue, despite the fact that Gadara doesn't want to agree with me on that. Mm-hmm. So
we'll have him come and speak on his own behalf.
One thing I would disagree on is the fact that EACC is sleeping. I mean, they've decided to call her back in for questioning. as of yesterday. So that means they're taking this seriously, and it's great that they're responding so quickly to the issue. They're now waiting to be told why you're not doing anything about it.
But they're actually responding.
Is it really good that they are responding when they already, I mean, it's hardly a week before they give a clean bill of health, which of course would question their competence.
Well, let's assume they made a mistake. Shouldn't we at least be happy that they're correcting that mistake by telling her to come back in?
Do we really?
Bitonga, I doubt whether EACC has made a mistake, because we need to judge it from history. We've seen previously a lot of high-profile cases just ending at that based on the evidence or probably investigations conducted by EACC. And this is why I question actually the competence of EACC. I don't know whether it is complacent. I don't know whether it is impotent. I don't know whether it is moribund. But the reason as to why I'm insisting that it is time that we heard the voice of the head of the institution is because this is a high-profile matter that we are dealing with. But the only statement that is coming from EACC is actually a statement from their head of communication. We need to know even what Halake Wako is thinking about this matter.
Okay, but now coming back to our job description as members of the Fourth Estate, how do we put that into context? Because we could be talking about what you feel as an individual, but what should we be questioning to ensure that we get that? Kilemi?
I think it goes back to what I said at the beginning. We need to do more reporting, because let's not forget, everybody has their own agenda here. Everybody who's carrying out a statement has their own agenda. So only the news media, who are supposed to be on our side, can come out and tell us what's really going on. And they can give us the details. Right now, we're arguing about facts, don't even know. For all you know, these facts will be false tomorrow. So let's work on figuring out what's going on. And a point he made earlier was, we need to have a holistic view. Many of the players involved are not even in government. Many of them are in the private industry. So we need to look at what's happening, that corruption is seeping through every single part of our society, and where is it leading to things like this. But it all comes back to us. We need to do better reporting so that people can be better informed.
Okay. Crispus, looking at the other side of the story, because once an affidavit like this has come through, if you look at the headlines, if you look at how we, our reportage, it is more, we are almost, one would think, or let me put it this way, one might feel like the writer is on the side of the affidavit, almost crucifying, you know, the accused before it has gone before trial.
Absolutely so. And looking at the coverage on Monday, I had various questions, and looking at the press, even the dailies yesterday, and scanning through today morning, I think I still, as a person, I still have a number of questions, and there are so many conundrums that ought to be looked at by editors and reporters in order for us to take the story forward. Because we know that Anne Waiguru herself has raised a number of questions about the affidavit, but what we really need to do, it is not upon us to authenticate the affidavit that was sworn, but actually we need to pursue other angles and try to ensure that the story is taken forward.
Okay.
And let's not forget there have been many inconsistencies have been pointed out, including some of the reporters that were claimed to have met, or Haraki even being employed at the particular time he says he was employed. So again, it goes back to what I'm saying. We need better reporting from us, the journalism fraternity, to tell us what's going on. Because for all we know, this is somebody's own interest, or this could be the truth. But if we have independent reporting coming through with independent verifications, we would say we can believe in what's going on.
Okay, would it be that sometimes we are so, not desperate, but in a hurry to have the story go out there and have the scoop to a point where we don't do our homework effectively?
Yes, because that particular story, ideally, Anne Waiguru would have gotten right of reply immediately the story was published. I think it went online first before it actually got on print. And a situation like that, it came off a bit biased, because we didn't get to hear her side of the story until the next day. So we need to work on that so that we don't just publish something that's going to sell, because Waiguru seems to be a very juicy topic. She was the cover of all the major newspapers, including Swahili, everything. She was a top.
It could be, not that it's just juicy, but it is, something that everybody is concerned about.
This is a very important matter in society, Michael, and I think I want to disagree with my brother here on the fact that actually the press decided to concentrate on the affidavit. I think that was the story of the moment, and it was well covered, I would agree. But yesterday we saw Waiguru responding, and it was well covered. What we really need to ask right now, it actually takes us back to what I was arguing last week and saying that this is about, we need actually to look at corruption in this country in its entirety. And look at what is happening with our institutions, because even yesterday, or rather the previous day, we were told that certain important documents actually disappeared on the way to State House when the panel that had recommended that a tribunal is established to look into the Philip Tunoi saga. How? It is a circus, and it really speaks volumes about what kind of society we are. I'm afraid that corruption might cripple this country.
Okay. And let's not be hoodwinked by these stories that come in and come out, and then we forget the bigger picture. The whole of last week we've been talking about the judiciary, what's going on. Now it seems everybody's forgotten about that. We wonder what's going to happen maybe next week. But
maybe it's because there is nothing new to report on that.
No, but what he just said is massive.
Michael,
missing evidence, that's really big.
Yes.
We
really need to find a way as media houses of taking the stories forward and ensuring that we're keeping alive stories that would rather be forgotten quickly. Remember, sometimes back I alluded to the fact that the media sometimes behave like a stray dog, whereby the political class or certain players in society throw a bone at the media today, and tomorrow they'll throw a different bone, and they know pretty well that today you'll forget about this bone and start running about the other bone. So the media, it is a must for the media to ensure that they are keeping alive important stories like corruption, like you remember the Anglo leasing saga. What became of it? We've actually forgotten about it now that we are talking about NYS, simply because an affidavit has been presented in court.
Although that's the story of the moment, because really that was not there yesterday, day before yesterday. So if it comes out, that is the story.
We must find a way of pursuing these stories, even if it is actually keeping tabs with what is happening in the courts. Okay. Because this is actually a matter which is in the courts, and we can't do much about it.
Wanda, do you think this is a challenge because of understaffing? Is it training? What is it that makes us possibly run after, if I'm to use his words, the bone that has been thrown and forget about the other bone that was thrown yesterday?
I think with the story of Waiguru or even Eurobond, we have a lacking of very good economic journalists, people who understand the numbers, financial journalists, and that's a very difficult field, learning how to figure out what these numbers mean, what's the implication. We are understaffed in that area, and that leads to a lot of misconceptions, as I said earlier, because you don't analyze the data properly, or you don't even know what data to start analyzing. So as these things happen, there's a challenge, and the media usually responds to it. So I'm very positive that eventually we are going to start looking for journalists who are experts in this area, and we don't have them, we're going to train them, and they're going to start reporting these things. So it's a learning process, even in the media. Okay.
Crispus, one of the other challenges, maybe from a perspective of journalism, is when it comes to investigative journalism, the challenge sometimes is that the story cannot come out in a day. You need a lot of time, you need sources, you need resources, you need time, and possibly that could be one of the challenges that we're facing in the newsrooms of churning out some of these stories.
Precisely so, Mike. Despite the fact that investigative journalism, as you put it, require a lot of processes, whether it is actually financial muscle, whether it is time. But I think I want to also say that we are curtailed as far as reporting, our reportage on investigative journalism is concerned, because we need actually to look at the space. Sometimes we look at what it really means. Do I have the space actually to report this? Am I free to talk about certain ills in society? Am I free to report about what Mike is doing in society freely and without risking being dragged to court? So I think those are some of the questions that come to play. But I think the folly of the media at the moment, like my brother said, though we actually lack financial journalists in the newsroom, I think we are trying to simplify matters, especially corruption, by politicizing, because we can only take stories forward when a certain politician is saying something about corruption.
Okay,
which is very
hold that thought, because I want us to take a short break, and we'll be right back, and we'll talk about politicizing and whether really